Sometimes the hardest thing about hard times, going through difficult circumstances, isn't necessarily the hard thing itself. It's finding a way to keep going. And that's what we're talking about today. So, hard times then, specifically overcoming difficult circumstances. I've been wanting to do this episode for a really long time to provide you with, to share with you my process for getting through hard times. Now, I want to make a distinction between where you're facing a challenge. Let's say you're going for a goal and achieving that goal is difficult. You have a setback, you have a failure, and you need a way of overcoming that. This is not what I'm talking about today. I'm going to be talking about that actually in a couple of weeks' time when I talk about leaning into the challenge. But for today, we're really focusing on circumstances, often, usually outside of your control, that can come in sometimes out of left field, sometimes you can see them coming, and they pull the rug out from underneath your feet. This is how a client of mine described it this week when talking about a very, very damaging, very discouraging, and also very surprising negative review that he had in his law firm. And it felt to him, his experience was like, out of nowhere, they pulled the rug from underneath my feet. And I would classify this as a hard thing. And so I wanted to share some wisdom and some advice, some coaching around like exactly what you want to do when that happens and how best to get yourself through it. Okay, why is this important? It's important because we are human beings living in the real world, and in the real world, life happens. There are things going on outside of our control. It could be an unexpected redundancy that comes out of nowhere. It could be something very personal. I've had a number of very personal, very challenging circumstances that have just come out of nowhere, just in the course of my many years, where I've had to find a way to do the hard thing. I've had to find a way through the hard thing to the other side where I can start like putting myself back together again. So this is, I think, going to be relevant for everyone, for all of you. Even if you're not going through any difficult circumstances right now, I urge you to listen to this podcast and this episode so you can store the knowledge, the understanding, and the experience of it for when you might need it. You can store the advice and the wisdom I'm going to share for when you're going to be in the thick of it and not know where to turn. If you listen to this episode, it means you're going to remember, your brain will offer you the memory of having heard it. You'll come back to it as a resource for you. And then, of course, you may be going through a hard thing, tackling a hard thing yourself right now. And if this is you, as you're listening to this episode, I am so glad you found me. You're going to find this incredibly helpful. Okay, so in the wider context of, if you imagine yourself on the journey that you call life, and along that journey you set yourself goals. And as you know, I speak often to the goal of progressing your career, however that looks for you, whatever that means, whether it's to promotion, whether it's the goal of being kept on after a training contract, whether it's the goal of actually getting a new role, whatever it is, those will be like milestones along that journey. So when we think about hard things, hard circumstances, it's when we meet a bump in the road that isn't, it's actually probably less like a bump in the road. It's when we come across really, really tough terrain, like rugged terrain that makes that journey really hard. And what I want for you is to be able to, at any moment during that experience, be able to come back to an internal resource that you develop, that you build, that reminds you, that reassures you that you can get through it, that there is a way through and there is another side that you can get to if you just keep going. Because here's what happens typically. Something hard can happen to us, and it feels like it's happening to us when it's really hard and it's been something outside of our control. And we can see that as a reason to not go on. And it's particularly difficult when you're already doing something that you find challenging. When you have some external circumstances layered on top of that, it can be like, what's the point? I can't go on. This is devastating. Nothing will ever be the same. And what happens as well is our brain will want to catastrophize what may already be a catastrophe, but it will get going and it won't stop, and it will mean, oh, the end of everything in life as you know it. Okay. And I'm recognizing that, and I know it so well because I've been there. I have had circumstances where I've literally felt like not just like so much worse than the feeling of a rug being pulled from under my feet, literally a black hole opening up beneath me and me being sucked into it, never ever to see light again, never ever to breathe again, never ever to able to live a normal life again. So I know this experience really well, and I know how effective certainly my brain is and our brains can be as we're in that panic reaction mode of like catastrophizing the situation, thinking it is the end of the world. So it's important to know that that is a normal reaction when something serious does happen. But here's what is just as important, if not more so. The pain of that difficult event or circumstance will compound if it's something that where you fall out of. I didn't actually write this down in my notes, so I want to be careful about how I choose the word. But if you fall out of, I'm going to say ownership in a situation, and I don't mean ownership as in taking responsibility for the event, but if you fall completely out of ownership of having any power in that situation, if you give up any sense of being able to choose what you do next, direct what you do next, from day to day, decide what's going to happen and how you're going to respond and react to it. If all of that goes, then the pain of the initiating event is going to compound. So now you're not just, for example, suffering a loss. Let's say it's a bereavement. You're not just suffering the loss and grieving. You are also suffering the consequences of having like let go of everything and what's the word, succumbed to the I was going to say succumbed to the tragedy of it. And honestly, there's a part of, and I'll be talking about this when I talk about feeling the feelings, because I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying for just, toughen up, grit your teeth and let's get through it. What I'm saying is, however tragic and awful the circumstances are, it's so powerful and important for you to hold on to a sense of, even if it's a tiny flicker of agency, of being able to choose, even if that thing that you have agency over, or the thing that you're able to choose, is just the decision to grab a cup of tea, wrap yourself in a blanket and have a good cry. Yeah, like that is still you having some agency, versus like letting what feels like the weight of the world just completely shut you down. So this is important because what I'm helping you to do is navigate life's like downs. We have many ups, but they're also downs, and it's helping you to navigate those and see that there is a way to navigate them that will hold the life that you have created, or the results you have created. It will hold you just enough to be able to get through the other side and continue on. Yeah, I want you to feel there's never going to be a situation or a tragedy so big that you cannot get yourself out of. Cannot get yourself through. And what I'm going to talk to and share with you as my strategy for doing this, this is the tool. This is what you need. And this is where I hope you'll keep coming back to however often you need it. And it will work for you if you implement it, I promise. And my objective here is for you to stay afloat. That was a really beautiful analogy I played with when I was thinking about this episode. I was thinking about you in turbulent waters. And by the way, like one of my worst fears and nightmares, it's why I don't like ferries, is being in the ocean and like hopefully with a lifesaver around me, and like being in the freezing cold water and the dark, dark water, which terrifies me. And I just see myself as like in that situation, I'm always terrified that I'll just be like, what's the point? There's no way I'm getting through this. I just need it to all be over right now. I may as well just give up, and me just slipping through this rubber dinghy. or what's it called? A life boy. That's the word. Like, this is one of my worst nightmares. And therefore, it's such a great metaphor for how you can find it in yourself, even when it feels really bleak around you and really difficult, to hold on to that boy, like to see that you have a life vest or a life jacket or a life buoy, and be willing and know how to just hold on to it long enough to get through. Like, hold on to it long enough to stay afloat so that you get through the turbulent times. Okay, now this is a little bit deeper than my usual episodes. So if you are joining me for the first time, especially if you are a subscriber on my YouTube channel, or even if you're new to the podcast, I want to invite you to subscribe. Every week I deliver a YouTube video and podcast. The video is a video of me recording the podcast, where I am offering you advice, wisdom, sharing my experience, coaching you, teaching you tools and skills to help you thrive, right? To help you succeed in the industry. So I speak to Black lawyers, and it is very much about helping you to progress as a Black lawyer and succeed in a white world and keep progressing all the way to the top, fulfilling your potential. That's the core of what I'm about. And a key part of that, of course, is helping you to navigate these like unexpected, sometimes expected, very challenging external events, because they will impact your ability to fulfill your potential, your ability to be visible, your ability to showcase your value. Real life will come up, and this is how I want to invite you to think about it and deal with it. So the first thing I want you to take note of is that you are not alone. I think I've talked to that already, and how these circumstances are the human condition. I have experienced so many of them myself. I see my clients going through this. One particular client, who I mentioned at the beginning, who received this devastating review, and how he's responded to that was to completely withdraw, to shut down, to want to give up, to want to turn around and just like completely remove himself from the whole context, from the firm, from the city he lives in, from the country he lives in, to just completely go back, retreat, right? It was so devastating. And so here, what I'm going to be sharing is what I've coached him to do instead. And we're coaching on lots of different elements of it. But a key part of the coaching I've given him, which he's found very challenging, but it's the light at the end of the tunnel, and he can see it. And that is the belief that he can do hard things. It really is as simple as being able to believe you can do hard things. So what I want to offer you in the face of all of the thoughts, the negative, doom and gloom, catastrophizing thoughts that your brain will quite rightly, justifiably offer you in a time of crisis, I want to offer that you respond to that initial reaction. You use the part of your brain that can respond, and you respond with, I can do hard things. That's it. That is the answer to getting through hard things. It's literally being able to tell yourself in the moment that you are capable of doing the hard thing. Like, I can do this is the short form of it. Here's what that seemingly really simple thought that I'm inviting you to choose, and I offer it to you to put in your thought bank, right? A place where you store all of the really powerful and empowering and uplifting and motivating thoughts that I share with you. Like, put it in your thought bank, wherever you choose to keep it, and to collect these thoughts for when you might need them. I can do hard things, all right? Here's what this does. It starts by recognizing the hard thing. It's really important. Right? We're not saying, oh, it's fine, oh, you'll be okay. We're not pretending it's anything other than incredibly hard. And if the word hard isn't enough for you, let's go with, you can put devastating if you want. I can do devastating things, right? I can do things that I find devastating. Okay, so I can do hard things, because I find the word hard less provocative and less evocative. Like devastating feels heavy to me. It puts me back in the sort of, oh, I'm devastated, this is a catastrophe. Whereas I can do hard things. It's like very clearly acknowledges that there is a hard thing to be done here. And remember, the hard thing is the getting through whatever really difficult circumstances you're encountering. And now I'm saying that, what I'm thinking is devastating isn't the right word here, because it will be the event that seems devastating. So what we want in the tool that you're using to get through that event, to stay afloat in that event, is we want a word that helps to keep you afloat rather than pulls you down. I think that's a better way of thinking about it. So I invite you to choose hard. I know how to do hard things, because with the hard thing we're talking about isn't the event itself, it's the getting through it. It's the staying afloat long enough, until the waters around you start to calm, or you're through that incredibly turbulent patch. So it recognize the hard. And in recognizing the hard, it allows you to feel your feelings. This is really important. We're not talking about pushing your feelings down. We're not talking about you having to go out in the world and pretend everything is great and that you're not suffering inside. None of this is about that. This is about giving yourself the grace. It's like giving yourself the grace to feel all of that supercharged, really, really challenging emotions of feeling devastated, feeling disappointed, feeling hurt, feeling angry. Being allowed to do that while holding yourself with the, I can do hard things. This is a hard thing. I know it's a hard thing. Look at all of the feelings I'm having. But part of I can do hard things means that you're not stuck. Like, that isn't the end point. Being in the feeling of those feelings isn't where you stop. It's part of a process of getting through it. Does that make sense? So the being devastated, or allowing yourself to feel devastated, isn't the end in and of itself. Oh, I'm devastated, and then that's the end of the story. It's, I'm devastated. This feels awful. This feels so agonizing in my body. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to, I feel lost. All of the stuff. You can feel those feelings in the declaration, I can do hard things. Because implicit in that then is that I can feel these feelings. I can feel these feelings and keep going. And for me, when I say I can do hard things, what it does is it starts to like seed and nurture in me then more of the empowering, more powerful feelings, more dynamic feelings. What's the word? Feelings that move me forward, that activate me, like feeling determined and capable. And it may be determined is quite strong here. Like, it may be you can't get to determined straight away from like allowing all the feelings. But with the I can do hard things, what it does do is it like lights this flame of capability inside you. And it might be the tiniest flame, but it lights it. And as soon as you've got that flame lit, right, with your continued taking your brain to, I can do hard things, I can do hard things, you are fueling that flame. And as you fuel that flame, you become and feel more and more capable of holding all of those feelings and still showing up in your life. And I don't mean showing up as in doing something magnificent, achieving a goal, performing anything, like even performing to your higher standard. I don't mean that type of showing up. That's how I normally talk about, the context in which I normally talk about showing up is in the sort of performance state, right? But here we're talking about just showing up to your life as in just looking after yourself enough to get through it, for example. So using that example of floating in a really turbulent ocean, it's like doing enough to make sure your head is held up and you are getting enough oxygen. Like, that's the capability that we want to access here. Are you doing enough to support yourself through it? And I can do hard things is one of the thoughts that's really going to create the capability in you to do that. I've had the experience of going through, on a number of occasions, something that felt so hard, so devastating, that one of the things I wanted to do was, like, in the sort of giving up, it was an act of self-harm, really. Like thinking, oh, well, I'll just let the life jacket come off, or I'll just let myself drown. I'm going to let myself be overwhelmed by this and crushed by this. And that's just the way, what's the point? I haven't got it in me. And so there's something about the power of I can do hard things that will connect you to the value and the importance and the essential element of just taking care of yourself. Okay? This is of the utmost importance. It's the most important thing if you're going to get through the hard thing is that you take care of yourself. Okay. And that can mean, you don't need to do really big things to take care of yourself. They're really simple things like getting some sleep and trying to nourish your body rather than abuse your body in terms of what you intake by way of food or alcohol or substance. Like trying to look after your body is really important. Taking the best care of yourself, being around people who take care of you, who you trust and feel safe with. Yeah, there is all really small but very important, consistent ways you can be in the capability of, I can do hard things. And that thought is really helpful and powerful to keep bringing you back to that. I can do hard things. I can take care of myself, even though it feels awful, even though I'm feeling like I don't want to take care of myself. So I wanted to share an example from my own life of how I've done this, how something so simple as I can do hard things has been really powerful for me. So I experienced a personal loss a few years ago, and it was absolutely devastating. I felt angry and I was so devastated by what had happened and how it had happened. And I genuinely did not think I was going to live through it. Like, it hit me so hard and so bad. I did not know how I was going to get through the next day. And also, like, I have kids to look after and I have like a household and I have, just like you all have people who know you, love you, might be expecting to see you. Like, life was going on for so many people around me as normal. And that yet I was, again, like in this, what felt like this black hole. And I did not think I was going to get out. And my brain offered me like, I can't do this. This is too big even for me. And I mean that because, right, I'm a life coach, right? I'm very well practiced at finding the resources, finding the energy, finding the capability in myself to overcome obstacles like of this magnitude, to be in what I call the arena of life where the conditions are never perfect. That's something I was I did a reel about actually this week. The conditions are never perfect. And I've had so many experiences where it's been devastating. I've had to get over it. But this was like, I don't know, it was like my worst experience to the power of 10. And I thought, this is it. I finally hit the thing that is bigger than me. And then still I was able to catch myself. Having used this in the past, I can do hard things. I started thinking this thought on purpose. Now, it was just a whisper at first. And it was like this little whisper, and I batted it away because I was still so angry and devastated. And that whisper kept coming back. And that's what I want this episode to be for you, almost like a whisper that when you're in the moment of finding things really, really challenging, finding it hard to keep going, I want this episode to be the whisper that you hear. I can do hard things. No, but I can do hard things. And that means I can do this, right? That's the follow on from that. I know how to do hard things. So this whisper kept coming and I'd bat it away, and then it kept coming and it was so insistent and it kept repeating, and I started to see it. I started to feel it. And I don't know exactly how long it took. I think it took several months. I want to even say definitely went beyond a year for me to feel that I was through it. It was definitely longer a year through the other side of it. But I already felt the momentum of doing the hard thing from the very beginning, from the moment when I really started to allow even the possibility that this was something I could get through. It was like opening a door just a tiny bit and seeing the light come in. And as soon as a little bit of light came in, which is what happened when I allowed in this, I can do hard things, that was it. There was no stopping the light. I knew it was there. And even if I tried to sort of close the door again and retreat, I knew that light was there. So it built this momentum coming back to, I can do hard things. And gradually I started to pull myself out of it. Yeah. And very notably, like, I really remember the moment where I realized my body was sort of disintegrating, like from the pain of it. I could feel myself imploding. And I remember specifically the moment when I thought, right, no, This cannot, like, this is going to harm me, and I cannot allow it to harm me. I cannot allow myself to self-destruct. That's what it was. I can't self-destruct over this. I can't do that to myself. The tragedy is already there. The devastation is already there, and that is a separate thing. But what I didn't want to do is compound that by destroying myself, allowing myself to self-destruct. And that's what I was talking about in terms of, like, there's the hard thing and then there's the getting through the hard thing. Yeah. And what's really important is that you support yourself to get through the hard thing. So the hard thing doesn't compound and become 10 times worse because, for example, you've self-destructed. Yeah. So that was my experience. And it was an amazing one to go from thinking there's no way out to the gradual feelings of capability. And it did then become like being determined. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this because I can do hard things. It has been so impactful for me. And if you take on board this thought, if you hold this, have it in your toolkit, I hope you won't have to use it very often. But when life happens, then you will have this in your toolkit, just the ability to take your brain to the thought that you practice, you think on purpose until it becomes ingrained in you as a belief. I can do hard things. I can get through this. Yeah, so this is a tangible, concrete tool that I want you to take away. Okay, so I've shared like my experience, and what I want to offer to you is the kind of things that were possible when you hold this thought to be true. It's hard to see them when you're in the thick of it, when you're in self-destruct mode, but when you hold this thought to be true, you are going to be more resilient. You'll be able to endure the pain and the discomfort so much more if you believe you can do it. You can do the hard thing and get through it. You're going to be much more resourceful, meaning you're going to find your way through more easily because you're going to be in like resourcefulness mode. You're going to be able to think about things in a different way, at a deeper level, solve for problems in a more effective way, more effectively and more dynamically. It's just a different state of being when you believe yourself to be capable. Like how you approach a situation is completely different than when you feel like there's this big thing it's bigger than you and you're not capable of overcoming it. Yeah. So being in that state of I'm capable, I'm determined, you'll be more resilient, you'll be more resourceful, you're likely to be more proactive. So see what action needs to be done, take that action. And this, by the way, isn't necessarily going to be a nice linear experience where you like, I can do hard things and you feel your emotions and then you get to work and then you come out of it the other side. It may be that you're flitting between these different stages, back and forth and different orders all the time. But what we want is to just keep them all going. We want to keep the permission to feel your feelings. Keep the thought, that strengthening thought of I can do hard things, and then be in the action and the behavior of someone who can do hard things. So asking for help is one of those things which when you're in that capable state, you are much better positioned to ask for help than if you're feeling like crushed and there's just no way through. So being able to ask for help, being able to keep going, be able to, this was a really big thing for me for ages. Another really powerful thought was, I just need to put one step in front of the other. I just need to take one more step. And that got me, I think I was just taking steps. Every single minute of every day felt like one step. Yeah. So for a really long time, all I asked myself to do was take the next step. But that level of resourcefulness and self-care and nurturing myself along could only come when I believed I can do hard things. Like that wouldn't have come if I was feeling crushed, so crushed by it, I was letting go of my life jacket. Yeah. So I can do hard things just empowers you then to come up with so many other tools and strategies and ways to get help, to get support, to find your way through it. All right. Okay. So what I want to offer that the other side of this work, understanding the power of your thoughts, recognizing that you can choose to think very powerfully about who you are and what you are capable of. When the circumstances feel really big, you still have that power. It is the ultimate power, no matter what is going on around you, to be able to choose what to think, as opposed to have thoughts come up in your brain as you react to what's going on around you, and those thoughts take you to a place that you cannot come back from. So what I'm offering you here, as well as the very specific thought, I can do hard things, is a reminder. And if you're new to me, it's recognition of your capability, even in the hardest moments, of getting yourself through it to the other side. Okay? All right. What you will for sure, if you haven't already thought about this or experienced it already, is you will have some resistance. When this happens, you will almost certainly have some resistance to this. And I like to speak to resistance because it means then I'm going to, like, when the resistance comes and your brain's like, well, Caroline taught me to just tell myself I can do hard things and it didn't actually work. So before you throw the tool out and think that didn't help at all, I want you to know that when you do this work, you will experience resistance. Your brain will be stubborn. It will not want to think that you can get through it. It will not want you to get through it. It's so much easier for our brain sometimes to go, oh, well, it's out of my hands. There's nothing I can do. This is too big for me. I certainly felt that with my loss. I just thought, there is no brain power on this earth that can get me through this. That was my initial reaction. Yeah. But I connected to that power inside of me that I know is there, and you have, and you must know is there, the ability to think differently and more powerfully. Okay? So know that the resistance will come up, and it's in that moment that you want the whisper. You want the memory of this episode. You want my voice reminding you, like, all you have to do is think on purpose. I can do hard things. Feel the feelings. Let yourself feel the feelings. Acknowledge and recognize the hard. But remind yourself, you can do this. You can do hard things. You can get through it. And you will be okay. I think that's the thing I haven't said that is really important, that's waiting for you at the other side of this. I remember when I was going through my loss, a friend saying to me, you know, you're going to be okay. You do know that, don't you? And when she said that, I was like, what? How could you even say that? Like, do you not realize how devastating this is? Like, what do you mean I'm going to be okay? But there was some tiny piece of that I clung onto. So it was like, I totally reject you being positive and suggesting I'm going to be all right the other side of this. But there's a tiny, tiny piece of me that's hoping you're right. So I want to speak to that tiny, tiny piece of you that's hoping you're going to be okay. That's who I'm speaking to today. And I want you to know you will be okay. You can do hard things. Now, if this is something that you know you struggle with, if it's something that you want to prepare for, then I want to invite you to join Be the First membership. The membership is going to be so many things. I don't even know how to tell you about it. I'm still putting it together because we do not launch till the 1st of May. But to keep it focused on this episode, the topic of this episode, this is exactly the kind of support, right, that you will get inside the membership. And I want to emphasize that because the membership is all about being more confident and progressing your career and succeeding in a white world and being the first and how to thrive and all of the big and the positive stuff and the goal setting and the being visible and the showcasing value and the overcoming imposter syndrome, all of those things that I talk about all the time. But I also want you to know that inside this membership, you will get support with real life stuff like this. So I'm teaching you not just how to thrive and how to fulfill your potential, how to keep progressing in an industry you've worked so hard in, a career you've worked incredibly hard to build. I don't just tell you how to do that and coach you through that. What I'm also doing is I'm helping you navigate the real world as well. I'm helping you with the tools, hence I'm a life coach. I obviously focus on supporting you on your career, but I'm a life coach by trade. That is my skill. So that means you can bring real life into this membership and be and feel supported around it. right? Know that it is a safe space for you to be a whole human being, not just the version of you that shows up in the office and puts their best foot forward. Okay? So I hope you found this incredibly useful. If you are a Black lawyer, whatever level you are at, and this is a form of support that you would like to have alongside all of the other career and confidence building pieces that I support you with inside the membership, then I encourage you to join. It is exactly the kind of place that's going to hold you, support you, and uplift you in the hard times when you're doing hard things, just as it will when you're going for the big, the big progression goal. All right, that's it from me. Note for your calendar, we open the doors to the membership on the 1st of May. So I recommend, it's only the 18th of February on the day of recording this. So add that date to your diary. Make sure you're following me on social media. So on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and also on Facebook. Make sure you're following me, and I will be talking more and more about the details of the membership. But if you have any questions at this stage, if you're wondering, is it for me? If you're curious about any of the costs or how it will work, what it will look like, then, or even actually if there's something in particular you want the membership to do, like while I'm in this creation phase and the final stages of putting it together, then message me, DM me, or send me a comment underneath either the podcast or here on YouTube. Send me a comment, send me a request, and I'd be very happy to chat with you and speak to you about how Be the First membership is going to support you in so many areas of your life. All right, that's it from me. Have a beautiful week. I'll be back this time next week. Take care.